I'm starting today a tax literacy series, and the first topic is primary test for dependency. And I work with Migration Research Center, running a low-income taxpayer clinic. As a low-income taxpayer clinic, we provide primarily 4 services, namely tax preparation, tax representation, tax education, and tax advocacy. Tax preparation is pretty straightforward. If you need to file your tax returns for 2019, you should contact us and we'll help you with that. I'm going to provide the contact information in the description of this video, but also in the next slide. Tax representation refers to the fact that if you face an issue with IRS and you'd like to solve it, we can help with that as well. Maybe you're on collection, or maybe you owe money to IRS and you'd like to solve that problem so you don't have to owe money anymore. Please contact. For both services, for tax preparation and tax representation, if you qualify, both services are for free. Tax education this is what I'm doing through this video, but also we are able to provide tax literacy workshops for members of your community, for your students, or for your family or friends. Again, if you contact us and you would like to invite us so we can speak about a tax topic, we'll be happy to do that. And tax advocacy is when we learn about certain issues that taxpayers are facing, we take them further and will report them, and hopefully that will impact so the legislation can change and tax law can change, so we as taxpayers can navigate the system easier. So that's about us, Migration Resource Center, Low-Income Taxpayer Clinic. Our contact information is the following. We are located on 36 Richmond Terrace, Suite 307 on Staten Island, New York. Our phone is 646-827-2959, and our email is tax@migrationusa.org, and our website is www.migrationusa.org. If you go on our website, you can write to us directly from the website. We have a chat room, but also you can call us from the website. You can send us a longer information like an email from the website, and we're going to respond to you almost immediately, but definitely in the next 24 hours. So feel free to get in contact with us either via phone, via email, via website. We do work remotely and we're able to serve you virtually. We're able to help virtually with your tax preparation, tax representation, and as you can see, with tax education as well. So now let's dive into the material of this video. Let's start with why to claim a dependent. Well, why to claim a dependent? Because claiming dependence makes you eligible for some tax benefits, and these tax benefits include the following: the child tax credit, additional tax credit, child tax credit, earned income tax credit, child and dependent credit, care credit, head of household filing status, and the new credit for other dependent and other tax benefits. Basically, taxpayers who have dependents that are eligible to be claimed on their tax return might benefit or might enjoy these benefits. Those who don't have dependents are not going to benefit from this. These benefits are not going to enjoy them, but that's not necessarily a problem or a bad thing. Okay. The next thing, who are the dependents? Well, the dependents are either a qualifying child or a qualifying relative of the taxpayer. Examples of the dependents include a child, stepchild, brother, sister, or parent. So basically, if you're taking care of your brother or your sister or parents, you can claim them as dependents, but they have to qualify. And we're going to talk about the criteria for them to qualify in another video. Same if you have children, stepchildren, you can claim them as dependents as well, but they have to meet the three primary tests for dependency, and then there are specific rules for each qualifying child and qualifying relatives. And I'm going to make different videos for both of them because the information is pretty complex for each category, and it's better to separate them than to put them together. Okay, the next slide tells us basically about this primary test for dependency. So first you have to look at this primary three tests in order to understand if you can claim somebody as a dependent or not. You have to look at the dependent taxpayer test, you have to look at the joint return test, and you have to look at the citizenship or residency test. Now let's go and talk about each of these tests. Okay, the first test, I'm gonna keep moving my video so we can both see the video and the text. Visually, it helps all us. So the first dependent taxpayer test. Well, a taxpayer who might be claimed as a dependent by another taxpayer might not claim anyone as a dependent on their return. This sentence sounds very confusing. When I read it for the first time, I had to make a pause and read it so I can understand what does it mean. Therefore, I prefer examples. I think examples are great and they help, especially with the tax law, which is very complex, but the example help you to understand how to navigate this complex system. So let's take our example to understand better this dependent taxpayer test. We have Lucy. Lucy's 19 years old and she has an infant child. She lives with her parents. She works a part-time job, but she doesn't make enough to support herself and her child. Her parents basically support her for the entire year. And so she is claimed as a dependent on their tax return, on her parents. When Lucy files her returns, she cannot claim her infant child. Even though she takes care of the child and provides for the child, she cannot claim the child because Lucy herself has been claimed as a dependent by her parents. That's one aspect to remember, that if somebody claims you as a dependent on their tax return and you're taking care of somebody else, you cannot claim as a dependent that person that you're taking care of. A continuation of this dependent taxpayer test tells us that sometimes an individual meets the rules to be a qualifying dependent for more than one person. However, only one person can claim that individual as a dependent on their tax return. Again, let's take this example. We have two parents who live together with their children, or maybe one child, but the parents are not married. The children, they are qualifying as dependents for both parents, but only one parent can claim them. If the parents were married and they would file jointly return, then they would be able to claim together those children. But because the parents are not married and they will be filing taxes separately, only one of them can claim their children on their tax return. Even though both of them provide for the children and both of them support the children, only one taxpayer can claim those dependents. Okay, now it's time to move to the second test for dependency, and this refers to the joint return test. If an individual files a joint return, that person normally cannot be claimed as a dependent by another taxpayer. Another kind of confusing sentence, so let's look at the example to better understand what does it mean. So we have Alice, who is 18 years old and who lived with her parents for the entire year. She doesn't really have an income. However, she gets married on December 20th, 2019 to John, who is 25 years old. John earned $30,000 during 2019 and they decide to file jointly together. Alice's parents cannot claim Alice on their return even though they supported her the entire year and they even paid for her wedding. Why? Because Alice already filed her taxes and she filed a joint return with her husband. However, there is an exception to this rule, but I'm not going to reveal what's the exception because each taxpayer case is individual, and it needs close attention and discussions about each tax case. So I encourage you to discuss that with our tax attorney or any other tax attorney or anyone who helps you to prepare your taxes to understand if the exception applies to you. However, once again, if a dependent files a tax return jointly with somebody else, they cannot be claimed on the tax returns of their parents or somebody else who otherwise might be claiming them as a dependent. Okay. Now let's move to the third test for dependency, and this test refers to citizenship or residency test. So a dependent must be a U.S. citizen or resident, or a citizen or resident of Canada or Mexico, with the exception of a foreign-born adopted child or children. If a U.S. citizen or U.S. national legally adopts a child who is not a U.S. citizen or resident or national, the test of citizenship and residency applies to the child as well, as long as the child lives for an entire year in the household of the taxpayer. So this test also applies with the children who are lawfully placed with the taxpayer for legal adoption. Once again, let's take the example. We have Gloria, who adopted a baby from Argentina, who lived with her for the entire year. Even though Gloria's baby is not yet a U.S. citizen, because the baby lived an entire year with Gloria, she can claim the baby. She can claim her baby on her tax return. If the baby would live with Gloria only for 3 months or 4 months, Gloria would not be able to claim her baby as a dependent on her tax return. So as you can see, when it comes to citizenship and residency test, there is also a timeline aspect that we have to pay attention. It's important that, especially in the case if the child is foreign-born and is in the adoption process or has been already adopted, in that case, the child has to live for 1 year in the household of the taxpayer. If the child lives less than 1 year, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to be claimed as a dependent on the taxpayer's return. Okay, let's see what we have next. Well, next is kind of our conclusion. I'm going to stop here with the primary test for dependency. Once again, there are 3 of them. It's a dependent taxpayer test, is joint return, and citizenship or residency test. With you, my name I want to say with you was, but I think that's not really the right expression. So, once again, my name is Victoria, and I work with Migration Resource Center Low Income Taxpayer Clinic, and we provide services in the area of tax preparation, tax representation, tax education, and tax advocacy. If you need to file your tax return for 2019, feel free to contact us. As a reminder, the deadline to file your taxes for 2019 is July 15, 2020. So you still have almost 2 months, but time flies, so don't leave it on the last minute. Contact us and we'll be able to help you with tax preparation. If you qualify, the service is free. Same with the tax representation. If you have an issue with the IRS, if you owe money to IRS, or if you are in collection, or you want to solve an issue with wage garners, again, contact us and we'll be able to represent you before the IRS and solve your issue. Again, the service is free if you qualify as a taxpayer. Tax education, invite us to talk about taxes, tax season, tax issues, and inform everybody as much as possible, because we believe information is power. So we are keen on empowering as many as possible individuals with tax information and tax knowledge. And tax advocacy kind of speaks for itself. Once again, this is our contact information. We are located on Staten Island, 36 Richmond Terrace, Suite 307. Currently, we work remotely and we are able to provide all the service virtually. So feel free to call us to make an appointment. Call us at 646-827-2959 or write us an email at tax@migrationusa.org or visit our website migrationusa.org, and you're able to get in touch with us also via our website, and we respond pretty quick, and we'll be able to help you with regardless whatever need you might have. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll be back in a week. Bye.